on a roll. Same old road, but it's a different glow. Ain't nothing crazy, just a shift in gears. Funny how it all got clear. Used to think I had to chase the high. Now it finds me every time I try. Didn't see it coming like this. Now I'm right in the middle of it. I ain't saying I got it all, but I ain't missing what I thought. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something
Well, good evening and welcome into Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
I'm Craig Blanton.
Craig, we are joined with the third chair tonight because, well, the screen's big enough, believe it or not, and he's kind of earned it. One of our frequent and most favorite third chair hosts joins us, John Hibbard. John, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate having me on.
Well, we brought you on because we're going to talk about a lot of nonsense, and we know you like to talk about silly stuff like we're going to talk about tonight. We got a bunch of it over the weekend and then just last night as well. We're going to start in Wisconsin, where at 2:34 this morning, the Associated Press called a Democratic primary for governor that nearly every public poll said was over weeks ago. Francesca Hong, a Democratic socialist, was up double digits in all 5 of the last surveys. In fact, the last survey had her over 20 points up. David Crowley won by about 3,200 votes, and it happened on a night when Milwaukee brought 9 memory sticks to the county courthouse, and 5 of them had the wrong files on them. Steve Kornacki with NBC live on national television watching the whole thing fell apart.
Yeah, and this is the largest city in Wisconsin, by the way.
It is. Then we're going to head to Connecticut, where a 14-term congressman just lost his seat. And we're going to talk about a side topic because based upon everything that's happened in these primaries, a very famous pollster, Frank Luntz, says we should stop polling the Midwest entirely until somebody figures out what's happening. Then we're going to head to Turkey, where we now know the President of the United States left a NATO summit hidden in a catering truck while his Secretary of State and Treasury Secretary flew home on a decoy plane. Then to the Strait of Hormuz, where the President says we own it, plain and simple. Last night we had some terrible storms. We're going to talk about something that's probably a new word that a bunch of us just heard for the first time, a derecho.
Not me.
90, not Craig, because Craig knows all of the weather
Craig's
stuff.
a weather nerd.
That's
He's
right.
a weather nerd.
99-mile-an-hour winds. 1 million people have been, and some are still without power, and at least 3 people are deceased now, and we'll close full of sports on the back end of this. So let's get into the show tonight. But before we get above the noise, if this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We created this show so that you can have all the facts without a bunch of spin related to it. If tonight gives you something to think about, or if you want to join us on a regular basis, make sure you like, subscribe, share this, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time we're about to go live. It doesn't cost you anything. It just helps us beat the algorithms, if you will, and a lot more people can find us. And if you know anybody else that needs to be above the noise, make sure you share this with them as well. So let's get into a wild evening last night. David Crowley is the Democratic nominee for governor of Wisconsin. I did not think there was any world that was actually going to be the case, and almost nobody saw it coming, including myself and Craig and John. I know you as well. Crowley is the Milwaukee County executive. He's 40 years old, and if he wins in November, he'd be the first black governor in that state's history. He beat State Representative Francesca Hong by a little over 3,200 votes, with 98% counted at this point, under a half a percentage point. Although I will say all of the city centers where Hong was doing very, very well, they've already reported of that 98, 99%. Anything that's still out there, rural counties, where it's very likely every single news agency has called this now for Crowley. It's under a half a percentage. The Associated Press called it at 2:34 this morning after Hong conceded. And hold on to one number because we're going to come back to it. Nearly 792,000 people voted in that Democratic primary, almost 200,000 more than anybody had projected. Understand how improbable that was. Crowley suspended his campaign in July. He shut it down. He was not running for governor.
Yeah, he quit.
Low polling, not enough money. Then days later, he relaunched it. And the reason he could is that retiring governor, Tony Evers, put his own name behind him and went out on the trail arguing Crowley was the most electable Democrat in the field. But everyone thought it was way too late. Hong is a member of the Wisconsin Assembly Socialist Caucus, one of 4 members of that caucus. And her story is a genuinely compelling one. She's a single mother and former chef who dropped out of college to cook full-time, went from dishwasher to executive chef, co-owned a restaurant that closed in 2024. She ran as the outsider. This morning, Crowley told supporters today, I stand before the people of Wisconsin after we rose from the ashes. He is going to face Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany, endorsed by President Trump in November. Very likely to be the consensus odds-on favorite to win between Tom Tiffany. Let's just start from the beginning before we get into the payoff of last week.
You're a little muffled, Kyle.
I'm a little muffled?
Yeah. You hearing it, John?
I did.
Okay.
How is my audio now?
A little better.
You're still muffled, though.
It only happens when we have 3 people on.
What are you trying to say, Craig?
Nothing. I love laugh. Pray for America.
Well,
Pray
I
for
will.
America.
I will continue.
Sounds
good,
good.
man. You're
That
good.
sounds good.
Okay. Let's just start off here. John, we'll start with you since you're the third wing in here tonight. You've got the floor first tonight. A guy quits his own campaign. You're actually running for public office right now as well. But a guy quits his own campaign in July and wins the nomination in August. What does that actually tell you about where Democratic primary voters are right now? Is that a party choosing electability or a party that got scared at the very last minute?
I think you have had a huge focus recently on the Democrat socialists. And when you look at everything Hong stood for and said, and, unfortunately, what you say, and if it's on video, comes back to haunt you. And, from saying that Thanksgiving was the worst holiday that we had, to then claiming that her favorite holiday actually was Thanksgiving. I think it really came down to just kind of the spotlight being on her and just how unelectable in November she is. And I'm venturing to guess that probably deep party leadership and the Democrat Party reached out to David Crowley and said, listen, we think we can pull this out because no local support is for her. And if you look at her support, most of it was from outside the state and people that wasn't going to be affected by. But her opinions were on the fringe to be nice about it. And I think probably the deep party leadership reached out, and especially the former governor, practically door knocking, going door to door for him to knock her out. I have to think that the Democrats who deployed a strategy against the Republicans of pushing far right Republicans that aren't electable in November. I think some of them realize, hey, that's essentially what's happening to us here. We're going to get locally, these people are going to win their primaries, but they're not going to be able to carry their districts. And I think everybody that runs for office, me included, you have to have people from both sides of the aisle vote for you, especially in today, and especially in Wisconsin. And it's not a bit surprising. However, I do think it's shake the leadership of the Democratic Party.
We got echo.
All right.
Go ahead, John.
I think it's going to shake the party and maybe get them to kind of where they'll be back on track a little bit.
All good.
I've said it for a while that your 1960s, 70s, and 80s Democrats, they have to feel like their party left them. And when you see somebody, when you have those people that were alive then, they know socialism and communism, and they're not sympathetic to it at all. And I think probably even in Wisconsin, you finally had people say, listen, we can't have that here.
Yeah.
Well, I will also say that the part that had the country watching. And we're going to talk about Steve Kornacki with NBC. Bless his heart. I mean, dude, just I think they broke him last night live on television. Here's what a lot of people ended up talking about, and here's how Milwaukee works. Absentee ballots are counted at a central count facility. The results are downloaded onto flash drives, and those drives are physically driven to the Milwaukee County Courthouse to be uploaded. Roughly 28,000 absentee ballots were in play, and with the statewide race this close, Milwaukee's absentees were going to decide it. So when Paulina Gutierrez, the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, arrived at the courthouse with 9 USB drives, the entire country was waiting on those 9 sticks. 5 of them had you know what? Let's just let her tell us, because I think it's probably best to have her tell us the whole story, because it's just unbelievable.
And the results. What we uncovered was that 5 of the sticks had the audit log downloaded and not the results. It's a human error. These things can happen. So basically what we need to do is go back to the operations center, and we're going to download out of those 5 machines the results and make sure that's not the audit log. So we have the reports printed from the first download. We're going to reprint and start the process so that we can compare those results. We invite you to come join us. Milwaukee Police Department will come with us too. And so we'll re-download those results and then send them back here to be uploaded.
5 machines are an issue?
Correct. Not the machines, the sticks. So the download process was the audit log was downloaded, not the results.
Out of how many sticks?
9.
And so you will only be reviewing those 5 sticks.
Correct.
But we can't know all of the results, and we can't see these 4 sticks worth of results that were done correctly.
Can you?
Okay, so for everybody who couldn't figure out what was happening, essentially what had happened was they took these 9 memory sticks, they plug them in the back of the tabulators that they have at central, at the central headquarters. Then once they have those, then they take those to a courthouse. And once they bring them to the courthouse, they upload them into the primary vote allotment that gets sent out to all of the news organizations, their Secretary of State, everything else. When they got there, which, by the way, what are we doing? It is 2026. Why are we driving memory sticks from one location to another location just for the purposes of uploading? This is ridiculous, but it is what it is. But they get there, and when they get there, there are 9 memory sticks with these 28,000 votes on it. They upload these memory sticks into these tabulators to shoot it all out, and they realize that, oops, 5 of the 9 don't have vote totals on them. They have audit logs on them, not actual votes on them, and there were about roughly 15,000 absentee ballots worth of results simply were not on those drives. So while that's happening, guys, poor Steve Kornacki, who had been on the air for about 7 hours at this point, is being told by his on-air assistant, producer, whoever is helping him, and this is real time what happens here. And we'll talk about another Steve Kornacki scene here in a second, but I want to ask you all about this particular scene.
I guess the exact thing, yes, is if 5 of the USB sticks were missing results from the election,
This man
so
is
then they have to go try to regrab them.
He's broken.
He doesn't even know what to say.
Have you ever seen a broken man? This is what it
and they're all the folks behind the scenes are talking about this as well. So
That's the
we can
zinger.
also.
everyone else is talking.
Look, it's unfortunate.
The folks behind the scenes here, you're saying?
Yes.
That's the zinger.
The folks here are talking about.
How do I ask this artfully?
Artfully, that's a good word.
So guys,
That's awesome.
what ends up happening is Steve Kornacki, for the next 4 minutes, essentially has a very public meltdown. I'm sorry, we just had a huge wind shear come through. I don't know what that was about. Kornacki has about a 4-minute breakdown with regard to this and decides he's just going to end the stream. This is a live NBC stream. He's just going to end it. Okay, so my question is this. Did we see behind the curtain of what's happening? You know, because as the 3 of us were talking earlier, the DSAs were saying, "Oh, now all of a sudden you made a mistake." So it's the establishment Democrats that are doing that. Earlier in the evening, there had been a discussion about whether the DSA were entering things at the last second, and then and next thing you know, that all of this is going down, and here are conservatives on the other side saying, "Told you."
Yeah.
Craig, what are your thoughts about everything that went down last night? I know that you weren't watching Steve Kornacki live. You've seen all the videos ever since then.
Right.
What are your thoughts about these memory sticks and everything else that happened outside of
Well,
Milwaukee?
the reason they drive them there is before the allegations were that these election machines that were hooked up to the internet were hackable by China, Russia, or whatever, during the Russia stuff. So now everybody air gaps them, which means the machine is not on the internet at the
Right.
various polling locations. It's just a standalone machine like a refrigerator. And so they got to drive the thing. And we do this in Frankfurt too, at our polling location. Somebody drives them in and they plug it into a machine and it counts them. But the stupid part is in Milwaukee, the biggest city, the most modern city in Wisconsin, they mix up 5 of the 9, over half of them, with an audit report and the actual votes, and they stick the audit report into the counting machine, and it's got to screw everything up. I don't even know how
Yeah,
it read
absolutely.
it because it doesn't match the format of what the voting machine's looking for. It should have kicked out an error on the first one.
Absolutely.
But they loaded 5. So, and then I think at that time, Hong was really close, even though she was a 22.3% favorite. And Kalshi and Polly
99%.
Yeah, had
99%.
96 something on what I saw, and she gets beat. And this guy quit his race. She comes in. She wants to eliminate Thanksgiving, eliminate police, eliminate ICE, eliminate our borders. And the Democrat Party, I mean, you can put your tinfoil hat and just talk conspiracy after conspiracy, because how do you not know? The things surely to God are labeled. It says audit, it says vote count. You would think they wouldn't just randomly hand a thumb drive or a stick that they called it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it happened. Was there something behind the scenes? Were they sick and tired of losing to DSA candidates across the country and they made something happen?
Well,
I don't know.
I will also say this: just minutes before Stickgate, or whatever you want to call
That's
it,
a great term. We all start calling it Stickgate.
Stickgate. We're gonna trademark that here.
Yeah.
Just before that happened, there were some odd numbers that came in, and it became very apparent for those who were watching what was happening that what was happening throughout the night suddenly changed with some very late votes that were coming in Green Bay and just outside of Green Bay, which is not a a lot of the votes that Hong was getting were from like Madison, Wisconsin, and areas where there are large universities, and you have extremely liberal, progressive individuals living there,
and young people.
And that is not Wood County, which is Green Bay. And so Kornacki had a bit of a meltdown just before this as well. And it's important to talk about this because, John, I'm going to ask you a question about this.
Okay. Wow. What the heck just came in Brown? Which was that that was huge for her.
Yeah, so that was about 18,000 votes, and she nets 2,000.
This didn't make sense. And you can see it on his, you can see as he's trying to figure this out.
Was that that wasn't central count, was it?
It's possible. There's no remaining vote in Brown according to our counter. I'll check the website.
I said I want percent more, but now I do, because if that was vote.
Well, in central count is where the stuff goes. He's questioning where the votes even came from.
Right.
If that was central count, what was his percentage of that vote?
Let's take a look.
If this was central count, this is the question we're getting at from Milwaukee. If he just got buried in central count Green Bay.
It was 44 to 34.
It didn't make
over
sense.
Crowley.
It didn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can we ask our decision desk what we think that was?
Because Crowley should have got
and
those
do we
votes.
think there's central count left?
I mean, he'd already answered that there was no central count, that it was
Right.
that wasn't there. John, the reason that is a vitally important video, I'm trying to frame this properly. Essentially, what you had is from the very beginning, Crowley was outperforming everywhere. He was outperforming even in Dane County, in places where Madison is. He wasn't supposed to do well in some of these counties. She was actually predicted to win 53 to 55%, maybe 60% in some of these areas. He's overperforming. All of a sudden, by a mile. All of a sudden, it's 1:30 in the morning, and the last votes that come out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, not a progressive town, nearly 2,000 vote jump for Hong when all the lights are off and everything, shocks Kornacki because that doesn't make any sense. Then immediately after that happens, oops, the Stickgate occurs. Is it, and we are going to put our tinfoil hats on right now, is it possible that the progressive wing was doing a little too well? Maybe is it possible that the progressive wing was doing something surreptitiously that then the establishment Democrats had to do something surreptitiously to essentially save this? And is somebody going to get in trouble for this?
I mean, there are so many questions that go into it. If you look at going back to the 5 sticks, that means 5 different locations uploaded those wrong.
Thousands,
that's kind of where it gets
15,000 votes.
15,000 votes.
So, but if there's 5, so if they're all coming in from different areas, there's 9, right? And they're all coming in from 9 different locations. Is that right?
Within that county.
Okay.
It's all within. So essentially, it was about 27,000 votes that they were uploading
9,
They were uploading about 3,000 votes on each one of those tabulators just to make sure they had enough memory.
So it's a memory issue. Okay,
correct.
I couldn't believe, because I was like, how did 5 different locations?
Which also makes zero sense as well, because you can get a 1 terabyte card and have everything on one card.
Right, but they I guess they do an audit also right after they do the vote total. They sent the audit sticks in.
Well, that's what they say they said. That's what they say.
Because they're 2 different formats, I'm sure.
Have to be.
So how could it go into the voting machine, John, when it's not the right format? He should have kicked out after the first one, not let 5 of them get in there.
I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies that could go into it. I would think that it could be hey, we're going to try to get some votes here, and then all of a sudden Big Brother being like, wait a minute, this is our game. This is what we do. We don't have this done to us. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, no, wait a minute. Make sure these votes go the other way. Unfortunately for the Democrat Party, the American people speak, and we speak through voting. Now, sometimes it takes us an election to come around. Sometimes, we have to have, the results from our actions sometimes have to take hold. But I think in people in Wisconsin, when you really got looking at the spotlight that was put on her in the last month, if you are a blue dog Democrat and you're just listening to that, and by the end of it, you got to be shaking your head like, how can I possibly support this person? At least the other guy, he's a Republican. I think he at least loves America. I mean, it was just really, and it's, I would say the Republican probably does, but the running on fear and hate, that's been something that the Democrat Party has really embraced. Don't vote for them because this could happen. Don't vote for this because that could happen. And I think it's finally caught up to them, because listen, don't vote for her because you'll get socialism.
Craig,
and I think probably your voters.
Craig, your thought on this?
Well, she lost by, let's see, let me do the count. 0.43%, less than 0.5%. Wisconsin's got a law that if it's within 1 percentage point, they can force a recount. If I was her, I would have forced a recount, but her campaign might not have known about Stickgate occurring yet, because it happened so late in the night and she's probably already in bed or something. But it's amazing how many for always saying elections are correct, there's never any problems, nothing like that. Then we started getting trickling in. The occasional person could get in and vote that wasn't allowed, an illegal could come in and vote or something. Then you get New Jersey, and they expose thousands and thousands of people that shouldn't have been allowed to vote. And then they find more after that doesn't make as big a news. And now we got Stickgate. I mean, and you know, they accused Republicans during Russia hacking in the 2020 election. Are our elections really safe? You know, unless we go straight to paper, get out of the ballot, the mail-in ballot bullcrap, and go straight paper and count them on the spot, leave them air gapped, meaning not hooked to the internet. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. And don't destroy the paper ballots right after the election, which some states do.
Well, let me also throw another thing in here before we get to Frank Luntz's take on this.
I bet he went nuts.
Oh, he's real wound up. But here's the other thing: they predicted about 600,000 votes.
Yeah.
Right. So for those of you who are watching, pollsters and people who are in the industry, they take historical data. They determine based upon a whole bunch of factors, weather, you know, people being excited, you know, how much money has been spent, all sorts of things. And they go, okay, we think, you know, things will tend to skew this way. There will be about 600,000 votes. And they're pretty close, or they have been up until recently.
Up until recently.
Last night, they were off by almost a third. 30% they were off. There were almost 800,000 votes that were cast last night. Now, that would be the largest Democrat vote ever outside of a presidential general election. Now, you're telling me that Francesca Hong and a guy who dropped out a month ago got people so excited that they were going to go to the polls and vote like they've never voted before?
Yeah, because I'd never heard of that guy. I've heard of her.
Yeah.
And following her race, but you know, two things. One, El Said also had, you know, they had 1.2 million votes cast, I think.
Right.
He was favored to win by a mile, also double-digit favored, and he wins by, you know, 1% or 1.3%. Just he barely won, is what it was. So on these pollsters getting so wrong lately, you know, I think it started way back when Rush Limbaugh said in Indiana race, he said, lie to the pollsters. Just make up lies.
Tell them opposite of what it is.
I've talked to people in the last few days that said they lie to every pollster that calls in.
Yep.
And so, you know, the one group that is amazingly close on getting things right is Las Vegas odds makers on all the sporting events.
But you know,
maybe
really
they
weird.
should take over the polling.
Well, it's weird you say that because you and I have always said Polymarket and Kalshi are a lot closer because of these other races. Because if people are putting their money at things, then they're going to be more truthful and honest about it. Kalshi and Polymarket going into last night had Hong with a 97% chance of winning before the first vote was cast.
Yeah.
Something's off here. Now here's the side topic, okay?
Stickgate.
Yeah, because in Wisconsin, every single public poll got it wrong by double digits. And one of the best-known pollsters in America says the whole enterprise should stop. So here are the last 5 public polls of the Wisconsin governor's primary. Hong plus 22. That was State Navigate, says Hong plus 22. Public policy, Hong plus 18. Marquette, which is the gold standard in that state, Hong plus 25.
And the State Navigate one was a couple of days before the election, right?
The State Navigate again was Hong plus 29, and public policy again, Hong plus 20. The result was Crowley by a half a point. It's not a polling miss. That is a category error. And Frank Luntz, who has been doing this for 40 years, posted this today. I am calling for a total and complete shutdown of primary polling in the Midwestern United States until we can figure out what the hell is going on. Now, we're going to give you the other side because there is one, and it's more interesting than the dunk. Patrick Ruffini of Echelon Insights argued that Hong will very likely hit roughly what the polls said she'd get. that the election was polarized for and against her, and that polls are a crude instrument for measuring consolidation, which only happens at the very end. In other words, the polls may have measured Hong's ceiling accurately and completely missed that everyone else would pile on.
Double speak.
Yeah.
That's bull crap. They've never said that before.
But let me say this.
That's a bunch of crap.
Why would Frank Luntz, and I have my opinion, and I'll give it to you here in a second. John, why would Frank Luntz, one of the most respected, on at least in mainstream media, why would he say we need to shut down primary polling until we figure out what the hell's going on?
I think that's the question of the evening, right? I think, it's just an embarrassment. I think it's really like, hey, we know what we're talking about, and hey, we know where the insides are, and this is who it is. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we don't. We really don't know anything. You want to think that maybe the voters just got riled up and were like, she's such a bad candidate, that we've got to get all of our Democrat friends out to go and vote. But like Craig admitted a second with me, like, I didn't even know who he was. I mean, I had to look at like, oh, okay, yeah, I do kind of remember him, but not really. So, for him to drop out and come all that way back, I mean, they need to look at where they're getting their information. Like you guys said, people lying to you every time you call. I think it goes right along with polls. I think polls are not very accurate either because, I'm 51 years old. I've never done a poll. 51 years old. I consider myself one, especially now, politically active. And I've never, ever had a phone call call me, because I would probably do it. They could probably even say it's 30 minutes long. I'd be like, I'm in. Let's try it.
But I'm usually about 20 minutes. I get hit every
whatever
now
it would
and
be. I would do it, but I've never had that phone call. So
I'm the most liberal person they've polled in Kentucky.
Well, and Craig, your thoughts on this? You think why would Frank Luntz say we need to stop polling?
Because he knows their data points are so bad. They're so bad that it's making the entire industry. And I've said this for months, long before. I've said it for years. The only ones making out on these polls are the pollsters. They're getting rich because everybody runs a poll now. Every news agency, every TV company, every TV news company, everybody runs polls. They even run polls on local levels. And the only ones getting rich or making money are the darn pollsters. So kudos to them for putting out this information. But they've got millions of data points. You'd be amazed at the data points the Democrat Party and the Republican Party of Kentucky got on all of us. I mean, it's a vast amount of data. But
go ahead.
But are people telling the truth? And they cannot be. There's no other explanation. These people, Hong saying, in the last 3 weeks that Thanksgiving should be banned and many of the other things. She said that for years.
Yeah.
But conveniently, she come out here right before the election and said she didn't believe that was her old self and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
But I don't think that would really generate somebody the amount of energy to go out and vote because of that statement.
Sure.
I'm telling you, man, Stickgate, if they don't look into this, that is a beyond stupid error to do something like that. And that's when the election changed, when all that happened. And Kornacki, who is, an extremely experienced guy, he didn't know what to say. He went quiet. He didn't know what to do.
He ended a live stream with 49,000 people live watching.
Yeah, that's even worse, isn't it? Just to cut it off an hour before.
But imagine if they do a recount and she comes up and she wins.
Then they'll do another one, but I don't know if they have to pay for it the second time like in Kentucky. But
okay, so
if I'm her,
I'm very easily
the
see
recount.
this. You could see her win the recount. Okay, well then obviously you said there's going to be another recount. Well, would it really surprise you all that much if Crowley end up winning the second recount?
No.
Well, it depends
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, if they get rid of their paper ballots, like some states, some counties, they dump them because they don't want to store them because it's so much paper. If they lose ballots, lose boxes, a truck disappears and they find it 7 years later full of the back end of a box truck full of voting.
Say it's not so. Say it's not so.
Which has happened recently, by the way.
Right. Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. So, do you have faith in your elections I'll say this: every election, every 2 years, I lose more faith in our elections.
Well, let me put my 2 cents in. I find it fascinating that they continuously underestimate conservative and Republican voting. That is the only base that consistently gets underrepresented in polls. And then it happened last night with moderate the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like they got a little bit of the taste of what conservatives normally see in these races. Because, Craig, you and I say this, John, you and I have said this. We've said this about races. Hey, listen, if the Republicans tied with you in the polls going into it, he's winning. He's winning every time.
Yep.
Every single time. It's the way it's going to be. So why is it that they can consistently do that? Well, I think there's a pattern behind that, because if you listen to the polls, there are people out there that are like, the hell does it matter? What does it matter? I mean, he's down 10 points. I mean, Hillary Clinton has a 90% chance of winning. Why should I vote? What does it matter? And the thing about making sure that you vote is that you never know what's going to happen until the actual count comes out. But this is fascinating to watch it in real time and to see news organizations being hit with facts that conservatives and conservative news agencies have said for years, that it's a mess, that this is happening. For them to go absolutely apoplectic to the point that they're like, we're just going to cut off our stream at this point, because it happened in real time. And John, you said this in the text yesterday. I'll ask about it right now. Essentially, like, we can't say it didn't happen. Everyone, 50,000 people and now millions of people have seen this happen in real time. You missed on the number of people that were going to vote by 33%.
Which is
That's
impossible. It's impossible.
It's literally impossible.
And the cool thing about it is they pissed off moderates. I mean, they pissed off Democrats. They pissed off Democrat socialists. And he pissed off moderates all at the same time. And that's never happened before.
And I said last night, John, I'll ask you about this. I said if Hong wins, then it's very likely that Tiffany wins Tom Tiffany wins the general election by double digits. If you elect, oddly enough, you don't want her to win, though, because you don't want to see that the DSAs are gaining ground with their crazy things that they say. But it's very possible that Crowley's going to make this competitive now, simply because he's a moderate Democrat. And is this a wake-up call to the moderate Democrats to vote for moderate Democrats so that you don't lose in these general elections outside of New York City?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think when you look at outside, like you said, outside of New York City, probably New York State, that area,
California,
there,
maybe. Yeah.
I think they do see that, listen, the socialism, communism moniker is still not one you want to have as a politician. Even with the Democrat Socialist Party making a run at it, you just don't want that, because overall, of course, I have faith in America. I just cannot see more than 50% of people voting for you if you are that Democrat socialist. And, I think it is a huge wake up for moderate Democrats that have, kind of been like, well, we're lost. We got to go with them. No, you don't. Yeah. You really don't. You just have to stand up for what you believe in and say, no, what you all are saying over there that's kind of crazy. That's kind of, well, we believe some of it, but yeah, that other stuff's kind of crazy.
Categorically crazy.
Yeah, don't say moderate Democrats.
And rather than, putting their arms out and embracing them, and Chuck Schumer saying we're a big tent or a big house and we have a room for everybody. And it's like, well, kind of, except, when some of those get in those rooms, they didn't want to be in the house.
Yeah,
so
it's not moderate Democrats. It's normal Democrats. Because moderate Democrats don't vote for the far left people. And there's more left. There's more far left of center and far left than there are moderate Democrats anymore. Just like in the Republican Party, there's not as many moderate Republicans right of center as they are as Republicans have moved a little bit more to the right. So the Democrats are confused completely, don't y'all think?
Yeah, 100%.
I just think that I think, but this could have impact of looking at the future of them. Kind of some of these, you can tell they've kind of given up. Like, well, you know what? He's going to win anyway. Let's just go ahead and embrace him. Like El Said. I mean, I think that at a certain point they realize, listen, I want to be on the side of the winner rather than the side of the loser. So let's just embrace him because he's going to win anyway. But then he barely won.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask
what
y'all
if they'd
this.
thrown that? What if they'd thrown that behind the other candidate?
Yeah,
Even
this
though
is
then we'd have
a numbers
ball, but,
question. This
I
is a
mean, it's
numbers question to you guys because you're both numbers guys. If you got a 22-point lead, does the Republican Party push that more than the Democrat Party so that Democrats will say, well, she's going to win anyway, and why go out and vote? Is that a marketing strategy or a campaign strategy?
I think that's part of it, but like in places like Michigan where you had an open ballot, where
Right.
I think you probably had Republicans that went in and voted for El Said. I'm just going to be very
Oh,
honest
yeah,
about that.
I would do it. Yeah.
I think they absolutely did it because Rogers was unopposed. So he's
Yep.
you're gonna face him. So why not go ahead and get your weaker opponent, which he is. I'm sorry, you're gonna have moderate, normal Democrats who are gonna come in and say, I'm not voting for the crazy at this point. You know, El Said, his former tweets and posts on his YouTube channel have started to come back to haunt him now. This is a guy who's running in Michigan that says that football is toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
How's that going to play in Ann Arbor, the most liberal of areas in the state of Michigan?
With the
You're gonna
biggest
say
football
that-
stadium in America.
Yeah, you're going to say that toxic masculinity is embedded into football? Stop it. Just stop it. And then for Chuck Schumer to come along and say, I'm endorsing El Said. Now seeing a Jewish member of Congress endorsing an Arab Muslim. I don't know what world we're living in right now. It's weird. John, your thoughts?
That openly said, by the way, that he would not support Chuck Schumer.
Right.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
Said he would not support him at all.
Well, he said, "Hey, look," he said, "I'm dangerous to Chuck Schumer."
Yeah.
Use that word, dangerous. I don't even know if that's a threat.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be great when he walked in the room if I was Chuck Schumer sitting there. I think it's a wake up. I think it really is. I think in this country we've always been worried about the extremes. The far right, the far left. But, more or less, it was more the far right. We always worried about, the Klan and the far right and all that stuff. Well, the left just kind of was simmering over there. And then Antifa popped up, and then they've kind of just moved towards, like, I don't want to say towards the middle because they're not trying to be towards the middle. But they've moved trying to think they're gaining media clicks. They're gaining being on TV because people want to listen to about, hey, well, how are the socialists or the communists doing today? Knowing they're not going to vote for them, but they at least want to hear what they've got going on. And I do think now it's turned like El Said. I can't believe he won. I think I'll be very. I don't think he wins in November. I don't think any of them win in November.
Well, you better hope not.
Especially in Michigan. Especially in Michigan, I just can't see it.
Who started the KKK?
Democrats.
The Democrats.
Thank you. So when was the last time the KKK did anything that they got arrested, other than do a march, which has been rare in Georgia? None. So but they always go back at the KKK and other right wing groups. But I think it's the left wing groups that are causing all the trouble in the country.
Well, I think a lot of people would say that, but we'll have to see
another topic.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But from a squeaker in Wisconsin to a bloodbath in Connecticut, where a man who had held his seat since 1998 just lost in the most embarrassing of ways at that. John Larson has represented Connecticut's first congressional district, the Hartford district, since 1999 when he was sworn in. He won the open seat in 98. In 28 years, he had never faced a primary challenge. Not once. Last night, he lost one, and it wasn't even close. Former Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin beat him 54% to 33% with more than 95% of the vote counted. Two other candidates, State Representative Jillian Gilchrist and Hartford School Board member Ruth Fortune, split the remaining 13. Larson is now the 7th House Democrat to lose a primary this year. Now, that the incumbents, these are House incumbents that are losing this year, 7 of them. Now, we want to correct something that's going around because a lot of the coverage today is filing this as another progressive beats establishment story, and that's not what happened last night. Roll call put it plainly. This race did not cleave along ideological lines. Luke Bronin was backed by Nancy Pelosi, by Governor Ned Lamont, by Pete Buttigieg, by the entire rest of the Connecticut congressional delegation. He outraised and outspent a 14-term incumbent, and outside groups poured more than $2.5 million into the race in Connecticut, with Bronin getting the larger share. Larson's own attack on him was that he was a corporate Democrat whose campaign was fueled by a network of billionaire donors, which is ironic coming from anyone in
From
Connecticut,
any
by the way.
Democrat. Yeah.
Bronin's argument wasn't that Larson was too moderate. It was that he was too old and that the party needs new energy to fight Donald Trump. John, this one isn't left versus center. It appears to be more young versus old. We'll have to see how things broke in this. And we're nerds. We'll look at these numbers. And the challenger had Pelosi and the whole delegation behind him. What do you make of a party establishment that lines up to take out its own 28-year incumbent at this point?
He's 78, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, again, as I said earlier, I have faith in the United States of America, and I have faith in our voters. Sometimes we lose our way. I think it makes common sense. Like Craig, he's 78 years old. So when you look at being 78 years old and looking at running to have essentially a job, I think most Americans, are just tired of that. I see, unfortunately, like Lindsey Graham passing away. Again, they were like he was a spring chicken. I was like, 71.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. My own father passed away at 61 years old. So when you talk about and 71 is not old. But when you look at in comparison of going out and getting a job that's going to be 40 to 60 hours a week, I think a lot of regardless of what Luke Brown age, whatever is, I'm sure his message was, hey, we've got to have a path forward to go against Donald Trump. And, I'm the person that has the energy to lead that charge. I'm sure that was probably the majority of it. And that probably resonated with most of the voters because regardless, Mr. Larson there being 78 years old, that means his constituents have seen him walk around town. His constituents have seen him eat in restaurants. They've seen him in town. And at the end of the day, he is a 78-year-old man.
That sounds like ageism to me. Because
I don't think it's ageism.
You can be 78 and still be cognizant of what's going on and offer a good thing. But here's the thing to me.
I totally agree with that. I just don't
here's
think
the thing to me. Larson, this is why I'm not understanding the challenge. This guy, he led the charge against Trump. He has been a Trump hater from day one. He's filed impeachment.
Yep.
What do you call them, Kyle? Impeachment.
Articles of impeachment.
Articles of impeachment against Trump himself. So this guy is in the fold of being anti-Trump. He's in the fold of being a liberal Democrat, which is what most of them are. And you said, Kyle, that he's never even had an opponent?
Never had an opponent. Not once.
And then he draws 3 this time?
Yeah.
That
sounds calculated.
Yeah, right. And I'm wondering because even if you add up what Gilchrist and Fortune, their votes, it still doesn't get him beyond Luke Bronin.
Doesn't get him close.
Yeah, but I wonder if the Democrat Party's practicing ageism, or are the young left wing and young far left wing voters are truly taking over the party like they've been talking the last 2 elections.
Well, let me give you another weird fact out of this state, out of Connecticut. Last night, Ned Lamont actually crushed a young progressive primary challenger, State Representative Josh Elliott. The
Put them
AP,
two together.
yeah, which is weird. Ned Lamont sponsored Luke Bronin, but then Ned Lamont turns around and beats this young progressive. In fact, the AP called it within actually literally like 5 minutes of when the polls closed. They called the race. It wasn't even close.
He crushed him. He got 68% of the vote.
So either there's a messaging problem, there is a loyalty issue. I don't know what it is. It honestly doesn't make any sense to me, because it can't be just straight up ageism, because then Ned Lamont turns around and
and Democrats don't know it either. They don't know why on one side the far left wins, and then on another side in the same vote, far left doesn't win.
Yeah, Ned Lamont, by the way, is 72 years old. So I mean, he's going to be 76 by the time his. Yeah,
they cannot figure out how their party is split and why it's split. And along what pathway it's split. And just by what you said on Connecticut race, Larson, anti-Trump, filed articles of impeachment. They beat him.
Right.
But then the governor, who I mean, I don't know nothing about him, but he's 6 years younger, and he wins going away, 68% of the vote.
It honestly makes a lot more. It adds a lot more questions about where is the compass for the Democrat Party right now. I can't imagine.
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I can't imagine Kentucky Republicans, although it would be a nice thought, if Mitch McConnell had ever had a challenger worth anything, voting him out. I just can't imagine it actually happening. It happened here, with regard to, imagine Hal Rogers being voted out. Obviously that's hard to imagine in this state, but it's very similar to this. I mean, this is a guy who had been, he was an establishment.
He looks like Hal Rogers a little bit.
He kind of does look like Hal Rogers, doesn't he?
But imagine this. I got one other side to it, okay? Imagine, the Democrats literally have been caught lying. I mean, straight lying to their own constituents, and not more than just once. And there's been a lot of questionable things that, of course, we just don't have the data to prove. But they've straight up been caught lying to their constituents. Now, there's going to be a certain portion of those that are going to be like, well, they just made a mistake, and that. But there's going to be some of your moderate Democrats that can lean either way. They're like, listen, Joe Biden was not cognitively clean for his 4 years in the presidency. And again, not knowing John Larson, he may have said Biden is doing great. He may have said he's a wonder. He's had this the whole time because obviously, he is a liberal. So I think sometimes the voters don't like being lied to. And I think that the Democrat Party is going to face the wrath of their own party to a certain degree over being lied to directly to their face. And then when you have things like that we were talking about earlier in Wisconsin, when you have those things pop up and you're like, wait a minute, this sounds like something that's happened before. But wait a minute, this is happening to us. So this isn't fair.
Right.
Well, wait a minute, it's not fair because it's happening to you.
It happened to you for the first time. Welcome to the party.
Right.
Yeah, I think it just has, eventually sometimes people wake up. So
But let me ask y'all this before Kyle goes on, real quick. Do you think the Democrats will win the House during this election with all these DSA candidates winning? Will the Democrats vote for a far left party that wants to, or a candidate that wants to eliminate our borders, eliminate our police, eliminate our prisons? Do y'all think that will hurt or help Democrats trying to take the House this fall?
Go ahead, John.
I don't think they stand a chance. I've been saying that for a while. I think it's more as the media propping that up that they are going, that right now they're leading. But think about it. That's polls and pollsters telling you right now that they're leading. They're leading right now. There's an 80% chance that they take the House, and and a 65% chance they take both of them. I honestly, I cannot see the far left views. Honestly, I cannot see the far left views of people going for those outside of New York State. I cannot see Michigan. I think that's a loss for them all day long. I do not think they take either one of them because I think they're too far down the rabbit hole. I know most of us in politics have kind of been waiting for the Democrat Party to change. Hey, when are they going to change their opinion on the border? When are they going to change their opinion, with men in women's sports? When are they going to change their opinion on communism and socialism? And they haven't. They have full steam ahead the entire year. And it's actually picked up momentum. And now I think their momentum they kind of wish that the Democrat Party wishes they didn't have that momentum.
Kyle?
I think that any idea that they're going to take the Senate, I watched a video yesterday that was like, Paxton loses, El Said wins, this random Troy Jackson win that, somehow the Senate is lost. I mean, they're not winning the Senate.
Nope.
Period. End of story. They're gonna flip North Carolina to Democrat, and El Said's going to lose. They're going to flip Michigan for the very first time in 30 years or whatever it is. There's no way that happens. With the House, there's so many races that they're popping up. Crazy things happen like they happen here. But I think in areas where DSA candidates have won, like in New York and stuff, they're going to win those because those are, very, very Democrat areas anyway. However, I don't think they're going to flip any seats either. I think if the Democrats take the House, and it's a big if, I think they have at max a 5-seat cushion. That's it.
Right now polls are over 20.
Yeah,
But then,
absolutely not.
in
Absolutely not.
2022, it says
There's no way.
the Republicans were going to win like 45 seats,
Right.
and they won 6
Well,
polls.
I saw a poll yesterday. Again, a poll that Ralph Alvarado was in a toss-up district. He's not. I'm telling you right now, he's not in a toss-up district.
No,
Dr. Ralph Alvarado's gonna win. It's not even close. And so I think there are a lot of people who have wishful thinking with these polls, but it's going to remain close, and that's great. The House should be close, but the Senate, it's going to be 53-47. I really believe that.
everything I've seen.
And it will be a more conservative 53 than what you have right now, and I think that is something to take into consideration. By the way, Ken Paxton, he may be a dog poop candidate. He ain't losing to Calafrico. He
may not. He may not. But I will say this: it may happen in the next one because
it could.
A lot of people have moved from the north, and they bring their politics with them.
They do. And
it's going to eventually. Unfortunately, I think eventually we'll see Texas probably blue, Florida blue, California red.
John, you and I are moving out of Florida if that happens.
Yeah, let me show you a stick. Throw a stick into this. Is it liberals moving from New York and California and Oregon, or is it conservatives in those states moving to other conservative states?
I think it's personally, I think it's moderates who are fiscal conservatives, but when it comes to social issues,
I'm leaning towards the conservative side. I don't think Austin, Texas was already liberal. But you're seeing a lot of Californians move to Austin, Texas. It can't be all just for Texas. It cannot be. There's got to be a belief system in there associated too. If you can just pick up and leave, then it's not. It's most of it, of course, is the high taxes in California, New York, and Connecticut, and New Jersey, and all those places.
But Trump won Florida bigger than any Republican had won in years.
Huge.
He won Texas bigger than he had the previous time.
Correct.
So the right wing, aspect of that seems to be getting larger in those, but you can't elect garbage, people as your nominees. And honestly, I think the Democrats are seeing that, right now. That they're going to see it in November when it comes to El Said and others. You can't. And I'm not saying they're garbage people. I'm saying that as a candidate, they're not a great candidate.
Yeah.
And so I want to be clear about that. But I think what you end up doing is you elect somebody, and maybe Paxton ends up getting. Maybe he doesn't stay there long. That's the only hope with that one. But listen, I thought Beto O'Rourke had a much better shot beating Ted Cruz than Talarico has against beating Paxton. I just believe that.
Well, Cruz, they really hammered it when he went to vacation during the fire or whatever it was in Texas. But we're a long way. We're a long way. There's so many counties. Like last election, really, you got to be a nerd to get into some of this stuff and to even stay and listen. But most of the counties in the United States shifted red. Slightly, there's 3,300 counties in the country. Trump won 2,500 of them, which is normal for a Republican. Democrats win 500 or 600 because of Los Angeles County by itself. Just the county of Los Angeles is bigger than 41 states by itself. It's bigger than Kentucky. It's bigger than Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Carolina. It's bigger than all of them. So you got that's why the Democrats want to get rid of the Electoral College, because they know California, Illinois, and New York can control the country because of their population bases. So it's going to be, I think the country's, I'm a little different than y'all. I think the country's shifting more to the right than it is left-leaning people moving to Texas, Florida, and Tennessee and going to change their voting structure.
Well, we'll have to see about that. We got to get to some other stories. We've only been 2 stories. We got 5 more to go. We're an hour into this, so
let's get her going.
Yeah. We are learning now what happened on July the 8th when the President of the United States actually left the NATO summit last month, and it is harrowing to say the least. July 8th, Ankara Espenga Airport in Turkey. At the close of the NATO leaders summit, President Trump's motorcade arrives. He walks up the stairs. He boards Air Force One. Cameras roll as he does that. That's the picture the world got. Here's what actually happened. According to reporting from CBS News, CNN, and the Washington Post, American intelligence had picked up indication of a potential Iranian plot against the president. So officials from the military and the Secret Service put together a plan. A catering truck was positioned alongside Air Force One, and CNN's video analysis shows it was already in place before the motorcade even arrived at the tarmac. After Trump boarded the big plane, the catering truck's container was lowered, and it drove away from Air Force One and pulled up to a much smaller aircraft on Air Force C-32A. The president was inside that catering truck at roughly 8:44 p.m. local time. The plane the entire world believed carried the President of the United States took off, carrying the White House press pool, several cabinet secretaries, including Scott Bessent and Marco Rubio, but no president. It passed right by the smaller jet on the runway. A minute later, the small plane taxied out. The reporters aboard the Decoy had been advised to keep their window shades closed at that point. We'll get into the end of this story here, but Craig, a sitting American president was smuggled off his own aircraft in a catering truck because of a credible assassination threat from a country we're at war with. Before we get into who was left behind, just sit with that. When did this become the normal condition of the American presidency at this point?
I think his plan's already been there. Secret Service did an amazing job. They went all James Bond on this kind of thing. And, smuggling him out in a food container onto another jet. I think there's contingency plans upon contingency plans for every move the president makes. And they had a credible threat of shoulder-fired missiles being around enough that they could get the Air Force One. And, of course, Air Force One at its most dangerous point is at takeoff because it's moving so slow. It can't deploy its countermeasures and all the different defenses that it has. So I just think it was Secret Service James Bondian kind of stuff. And they had a plan. They had practiced that plan a million times, and they put it in action all for credible threats.
Now the part that's generating the argument here, and Craig, I know you talking to me before we went on the air, on the small plane with the president was Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who, according to the Washington Post, boarded via external stairs in a way that made him appear to be the most senior official on that plane. Also aboard was Natalie Harp, the president's executive assistant, Dan Scavino, deputy chief of staff, and Walt Nauta, director of Oval Office operations. Those last three are personal aides who have been with him for years. On the Decoy, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, Will Scharf, Stephen Chung, Mike Needham, Ross Worthington, Monica Crowley, and the traveling press pool. The two things you should know before you decide how to feel about this: Rubio and Bessent were aware that the president was not on the aircraft and was on the other aircraft. This wasn't done to them without their knowledge. They were deliberately separated from him to preserve the line of presidential succession, which is a real and legitimate reason to split up.
Yep.
What is not clear is whether the reporters knew, and the president's own explanation given to the reporters Tuesday night was this: the plane that I flew on was at greater risk because that would be the plane, he said, that they would be more likely to go for. He also said he faces threats the public doesn't know about, which I think we all agree, and that he does what the Secret Service tells him to do, which is, I will just go ahead and say, surprising to me that this guy who essentially has the largest ego in the world checks it at the door when the Secret Service tell him what to do.
I don't think they give him a choice.
They may not. John, the president says the smaller plane was actually a greater risk because that's the one they'd go for. It's a real argument, I guess, from a tactical perspective, but CNN asked Rubio directly whether the administration put Americans at risk by flying Air Force One while it was under threat. He totally ignored the question, as he probably should. Which of those two things is more telling at this point from this administration? It doesn't matter.
I don't think either one of them matter. I think, that's the Secret Service. I think we would all say that President Trump embellishes things from time to time.
Oh, this is the news media. This is the news media.
But saying, that the plane he was on, was more dangerous. I don't really know about that. As far as putting Americans in line, you're on a foreign junket, like, or, tour with the president. You're there. I mean, the bomb could go off and kill everybody in a 1 square mile radius, at some point. So I don't really. I think that's just kind of part of it. I think Marco Rubio and Bissett, I think they realize their importance. They realize President Trump's importance. And I think tactically, both of them are very logical men. And I think, listen, there's been a threat. We're going to put the president over here. I can't see Marco Rubio going, no, I think we should all be together. But you know what? Let's send all the journalists on commercial flights. Let's get them on.
Right.
I just can't see it.
But that gives you the
I don't
way
think either
too.
one of them.
Yeah,
I don't
they
think
do.
either one of them, because to give that up, I remember back in the first Gulf War with what was his name? The guy, Rivera. What's his name? The guy Rivera. He was a talk show host.
Oh, Geraldo.
Geraldo.
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera. He was standing on a mountain watching our troops go out of Kuwait into Iraq.
Right.
I thought that was a little bit like, that's not good. That's not good at all. So I think when you're on those with the press, I think it's just part of it. I think if that happened, if it got shot down, I don't think they would literally be like, hey, we thought that might happen. We were trying to preserve the president. I think that's really
Yeah, I agree, because like Kyle and I were talking, it's just part of the job. You go with the president. Well, first on Trump going to the other plane, yeah, he's going to be in more danger because he's the president. But the whole goal is they don't know he's on the other plane. So that was not a really good statement. But the press knows anytime they fly on Air Force One, or some press members get into Marine One, or they're riding in a motorcade, they know that the president of the United States is a target, and they accept that risk. It's just like them going to a battlefield to report from the front lines. They know it's a risk, and we've lost a lot of
risk.
Yeah, there you go. And we've lost a lot of press people to war, and the same thing could happen to the press crew. Should they have been told? No, because if you did, then they're on the phone and they're telling somebody, and then the world finds out in 2 seconds that Trump's on a different plane that has it probably didn't have any jets flying beside it, no F-15s or nothing, or 22s flying beside it, and it certainly has no countermeasures.
None. Yeah.
To like what Air Force One has.
Yeah. Well, all of this is based upon what happened. It was happening in Iran over the last few months, and these are credible threats. That there's no reason to smuggle a president off a plane unless there are actual credible threats.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that war, there was some statements made today that I want to get your all's opinion on. This morning on True Social, the president wrote, "The USA has total control over the Strait of Hormuz. I think we will keep it. Our naval blockade is being called by everyone a wall of steel." Let's get this stuff. And there is
adjectives.
Yeah, there is nothing Iran can do about it. That followed what he told reporters at Joint Base Andrews Tuesday night. "We have total control over the Hormuz Strait right now. They don't have control. We have total control." How many times can you say control? "We own it." He added that at some point maybe they'll do something and then they get blown away. And on Iran, he said, "I don't trust Iran. I'm the last person to trust Iran. They've lied to me constantly." Now, the administration put numbers behind it, and we should give them their strongest case. Energy Secretary Chris Wright posted Tuesday that thanks to coordinated efforts by the U.S. military and Gulf allies, the 7-day average for oil leaving the Strait of Hormuz is up to almost 9 million barrels per day. Add 5 to 7 million per day now moving through upgraded pipelines and export facilities. And Wright says total regional flows are averaging roughly 15 million barrels a day. And he says that on Sunday alone, over 20 million barrels left the Arabian Gulf region, which he notes is above the pre-conflict average. Now, that's important.
That's a good number. 20 million is a good number.
Speaking of that, Craig, 9 million barrels a day through the Strait against 20 million before the war, but now we're getting there with other aspects. That's real recovery from where we were 3 weeks ago. Is the administration entitled to a bit of a victory lap here?
If they stay control of the Strait of Hormuz, like if they've got total control, we don't know how they got it. Have we moved the Fifth Fleet into the Strait, or are we protecting them with A-10s that are just flying by and shooting everything up?
The Warthogs.
Yeah, and then the Iran come out today and said, and of course CNN carried it and everything, they've still got over 75% of their original munitions before the war started, saying that they've got all they can handle and more. They don't need to stop firing or they're not running out. But logic dictates before, when they were firing on Israel, they were launching 300 missiles at a time. Now they launch 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at marine traffic, the app.
Mhm.
Doesn't look any different. I mean, there's some ships in the where, remember, let's see, I don't think you can see, but those red things are ships.
Mhm.
And in the strait itself, when it makes the turn, there were no ships day before yesterday. And today I can count about 8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 8 ships that are making the transit through the strait. So maybe it is. Before, we were lucky to get 3 oil tankers through there.
Yep.
And we've got the number that you said. So it's, and when it's over 15 million barrels a day, then we're getting back to or above normal.
John, he used the word total a bunch of times. Total control. On that same, here's the problem with that. I'm going to ask you a question about it. On the same day the president said the United States has total control of that waterway, Al Jazeera reported that transit through the Strait of Hormuz had fallen to a 1-week low. Also this week, a United States Navy helicopter fired 2 missiles at a Panama flagged cargo vessel in the Gulf of Oman because it was sailing towards an Iranian port in violation of the American blockade. That's from CENTCOM's own account. Satellite images show ships conducting cargo transfers outside the strait entirely and tankers crossing with their transponders switched off, which is what vessels do when they don't want to be seen. So the picture is not a controlled waterway, regardless of what he says. So I guess my question at this point is, if the president says we own it and we have total control of it, and Iran says it stays closed until their conditions are met, both men are talking about the same water, right? I mean, that's one thing, but who's describing reality? It doesn't really matter at this point, or is this just 2 governments, talking to their own people?
I mean, when Trump says we have total control to me means that it's whatever we want to go through there can go through there. If nothing goes through there, nothing goes through there. Nobody's attacked through there. And I don't think we're at that point. Now, I think we're getting to a point where we're escorting people through there. President Trump and his rhetoric, his descriptions, as you said, his adjectives that he has, I think they have to do whatever they can do to get their people to still stay loyal to them.
Yeah.
I'm sure every day their government has to have something like, hey, how do the people feel about us today? Are they getting ready to knock the door in and bring us in and hang us in the streets? Because that is a legitimate possibility in Iran. Now, and the thing is, there's probably 4 or 5 different factions that are trying to become the controlling faction of Iran at this point. So I think President Trump and the administration, probably the first couple of negotiations, it'd be interesting to know how many of those people that were there at the original negotiations are showing up now, are still alive. Are any of those people there? And they could have, they could have represented the Shiites, another one could have represented the Sunnis, and you could have, but now neither one of them are there, and you've got you could have had any number of things happen over there. And I think Iran's just trying to hold it together. How many people in Iran actually have, the internet and Twitter and things of that? So when they put something out, it's going to be word of mouth. And I think it probably still falls into that, the mullah of the city or the town or the village. He kind of gives the information to everybody. And if he has information that comes in from Iran, but they're still fighting and they're doing everything, that's what he's going to spread to the village, regardless if it's true or not. So I think they're both trying to hold it together. And then Trump, we'll just go with rhetoric.
Yes.
We'll just go with rhetoric.
From the Persian Gulf to our own backyard, because last night a wall of wind came across 6 states and left 1 million people in the dark. The Storm Prediction Center has preliminarily confirmed that what moved from eastern Iowa to northern Indiana yesterday was what they call a derecho. If you don't know the term, a derecho is a long-lived straight-line windstorm attached to a fast-moving line of thunderstorms. And the reason it matters is that it doesn't behave like a tornado. A tornado is narrow and it pauses. A derecho is a wall, and it can carry hurricane-force winds across hundreds of miles in a few hours. The peak gust recorded yesterday, at least at this point, is 99 miles an hour. at Gary Chicago International Airport. Columbus, Ohio took gusts over 80 miles an hour. Tornado warnings went up across Aurora, Joliet, Naperville, and downtown Chicago. I know in northern Kentucky, there were tornado warnings around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And then there was severe storms that came through. We were awoken a little after 3:30. I'd just gone to bed because of everything that was going on in with the elections in Wisconsin, and was immediately woken back up. I've never experienced in my entire life, 50 years, I've never experienced a storm that was as long and sustained as hard as last night was. There were thunder and lightning and high winds for 4 hours last night, and heavy, heavy rains on top of that.
I've got the totals if you want them.
Yeah, go ahead and give it to me because it's fascinating.
Yeah, because like a little background. See, here's the see. I don't know if you see the number. You can't. I can't get it right. Chris WLEX. He predicted 5.41 inches for Franklin County.
Yeah.
We are today, Kyle, to support your rain totals for the day. Is right now it's exactly 4 inches, and since the rain started yesterday, 4.58 inches. And Chris, whatever his name, Bailey, said 5.41. So he's one storm away from hitting the nail right on the head. That's a lot of rain in a 24-hour period. 4.58 inches.
Yeah, and there were 3 confirmed EF1 tornadoes in Iowa, 3 more preliminary confirmed in the Chicago area, which is, obviously kind of crazy. At the peak, more than 1 million homes and businesses were without power across Illinois, thousands of them still across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. As of this morning, it was still around 800,000 people. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther said response teams were seeing disaster-like conditions in Ohio's largest city and warned power could be out for days. AEP has more than 2,000 workers on restoration, including crews brought in from other states. John, 99-mile-an-hour winds is a Category 2 hurricane. It went 300 miles inland across 6 states in an afternoon. Were you shocked at? We didn't even get the worst of it, but the length and veracity. I mean, I shouldn't say veracity. The impact of how long the storms were that came through.
Oh yeah, I mean, I sleep. I'm a pretty light sleeper, so it was about 1:30. It's kind of when it started rumbling. Kind of coming from. I mean, I live here on the west side, so Craig, you live a little further west than me, but about 1:30.
I'm in southwest Franklin County. Yeah,
and. I mean, my dog Juno absolutely freaks out when there's any storms, lightning or anything. And I mean, it went on 5, 6 o'clock this morning. It was still going. So, I mean, it was a very strong storm. I'm very surprised. I mean, kind of when you see things like that go across I did not know what that derecho. I had never heard that before. Thank God I don't have
Follow
to spell
my
it.
page more often. Follow my page more often.
You post 25 times a day, Craig.
Hey, gotta keep the numbers up.
Yeah.
But
this car,
but I think
amazing video.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just aren't used. I mean, I don't think anybody's really used to it. But like what you just said, 3 tornadoes, in the Chicago area. I mean, they're probably not used to that. Would be my guess.
Probably
as far
never.
as that storm, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just
probably never.
Yeah.
Tornadoes ever hit Chicago proper.
Well, at least 3 people are dead, and we want to name what happened to them because these are all neighbors in Geneva Township in Jennings County, Indiana. A 4-year-old boy was killed when a tree fell on his home. Chief Deputy Cody Lowe of the Jennings County Sheriff's Department said the 911 call came in around 3:30 in the afternoon. The child was either entrapped or injured, and when responders arrived, the boy was found deceased in the house in Portage, Indiana. 1 person died in a house explosion in a fire around 12:20 in the afternoon. Police say the cause is still under investigation. Neighbors told local media the storm had just passed and people had stepped outside to look at the damage when the blast happened. And in Roseville, Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine said a person died because floodwater kept emergency crews from reaching them. Separately, 16 incarcerated people at an Ohio prison were hospitalized after a lightning strike. The flooding in southeastern Ohio was its own disaster. 2 months of rain in 2 days in Perry County, 5 to 8 inches in spots. Roseville residents urged to evacuate, and video showing rescuers and rafts working powerful currents through the streets of Crooksville. Last night we were in Louisville. We were at a concert. Concert never went off, unfortunately.
Oh, it did? That's why you got home so early?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, me missing out on a concert is nothing like what these folks went through. So our hearts go out to them. But one of the things that we noticed last night was just the out of nowhere, all of a sudden, just straight line winds that would just come with or without rain. The total amount of rain that came down as fast as it did. Today's first day of school in central Kentucky for a lot of school systems, including Franklin County. It's hard. We've had some issues here in Franklin County before, so we were obviously very nervous about that. My hope is that we're supposed to get storms for the next 4 or 5 days, so you guys, make sure that you, everybody out there, make sure that you stay safe and listen to the weather out there. I talk to my buddy TG all the time. He's telling me what to do and not to do.
Tell us who TG is.
TG Shuck. He's one of the meteorologists at WLEX or LEX 18 now. Lex News, I think, is what they're calling themselves now. So, but it is going to be. I don't think these will be the last deaths or injuries that we see because of this, just because of flooding and things that we see about that. Craig, what do you see, because you are a weather nerd, what do you see coming up for the next 4 or 5 days?
That's too far out to predict, but what we got to watch is for Frankfurt is how much rain in the Danville area in eastern Kentucky, which they've been getting a lot lately, because that fills up Dick's Dam, and you can follow that on various websites where it tells the Dick's Dam elevation. And then you see how much rain you get in the mountains. It takes about 3 days from the rain in East Kentucky to make it to Frankfurt. So you pile those two things together, and then if Dick's Dam decides to release a bunch of water, which I've not seen anything like that. But when they start opening those gates, and we got a lot of water coming down the river, that's always been problems for us. But weather's real active right now. We got one round of storms coming through us right now. I'm looking at the weather radar. We might get one more tonight because this front is stayed where it's at, but that'll probably be it for a few days. But we'll end up with well over 5 inches. I think they will have hit this correct over a 2 or 3 day period, and that's a ton of rain.
It is
for us.
Well,
yeah,
you guys,
for anybody.
Yeah. We want to make sure you guys stay safe and make sure you have prepared, that you have batteries and everything that you need. And make sure that you keep your head on a swivel, as I tell all of my kids all the time, especially when it comes to this weather, because it is unpredictable at this point.
And derechos are called straight line winds, and man, they are as destructive as a tornado. And
is that a mainstream word? Like I know you said it's the same as a tornado, but I'm 51 years old. I've never heard of that in my life.
It's a hurricane damage type because it's so wide. A tornado, you can see it go through a neighborhood and leave some houses on the right or left of it. A derecho wind line with the storm system moving about 70 miles an hour, that does catastrophic damage across hundreds of miles. It's like a hurricane in the middle of the country.
Oh, I don't know if, just to kind of go back in history here, I don't know if y'all remember Relay for Life a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I was the chair of Relay for Life that year, and I sat on a stage and I watched winds start flipping tents. And I saw KSU's tent fall. It was absolutely terrible. But then that was straight line winds. We had that. It was awful. It was awful.
And where it says it flipped a car near Columbus, it was spectacular how they were on the interstate and it just lifted it up and flipped the car in the air, and then it landed in the middle of the median. And when you see winds that topple semis, I cannot recall a time that it actually flipped a car. Semis understand because of the flat surface, but the video showing that car getting rolled, I bet that scared the dog crap out of them.
Yeah, totally agree. From all of that bad news, let's get into some good news. You all want to talk about some sports?
Yep, let's go.
I'm in.
You like that, Craig?
That's a good one. Yeah.
All right. What we know today is that there's still a lot of money being spent on sports teams. The Los Angeles Lakers have been sold to Josh Kushner, who is the brother of
Jared Kushner.
and Bob Iger, the
Walt
former
Disney. Yeah.
former CEO of Walt Disney, at a valuation of about $12.5 billion. I guess they didn't want my offer, I guess, but first reported by ESPN this afternoon, Rona Shelburne. That is a record for an NBA franchise and among the highest valuations ever placed on any North American sports team. Here's what makes it remarkable. Mark Walter bought majority control of the Lakers just over a year ago at $10 billion.
Yep.
He is selling
the all-time highest price.
Yeah, he is selling roughly 14 months later for $2.5 billion more.
Profit.
For perspective on where this started, Jerry Buss bought the Lakers in 1979, very famously, as part of a $67.5 million package. $67.5 million package that also included the Los Angeles Kings and the Forum.
Yep.
Josh Kushner is 41 years old, founded Thrive Capital, co-founded Oscar Health, and is the brother of Jared Kushner. He currently holds minority stakes in the Grizzlies and the Heat, which he'd have to divest in right now to become a majority shareholder. Bob Iger ran Disney from 2005 to 2020, and again from 2022 until this year. Some people will say ran it right into the ground. But be that as it may, let's hope he doesn't do that to the Lakers, although some people would probably say that
LeBron James is gone now. I wonder if that come into play on some of this.
Yeah, exactly. He joined Thrive in April and co-owns Angel City in the NWSL with his wife Willow Bay. Their statement: as lifelong NBA fans, we are deeply honored for the opportunity to become stewards of the Los Angeles Lakers. Walter called owning the team one of the greatest honors of his life.
Bull crap. He invested
$2.5 billion is the greatest thing of his life.
He runs a hedge fund and he invested to make money.
He is keeping the Dodgers and the Sparks, and we'd note Walter and Guggenheim Partners are reported to be under investigation by the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. And
that's the guy that sold the Lakers.
And the SEC over potential insurance fraud. So take that what you will. $2.5 billion gives you a good reason to settle things and walk away, I would assume. But the deal still needs approval from the NBA Board of Governors, of course. Craig, you're a big NBA guy. $12.5 billion for a basketball team, and the guy selling it made $2.5 billion in 14 months on an asset he barely touched and, quite frankly, didn't put up any of the cash to begin with. Is that a sports story or a story about what's happening to money in this country with regard to...
Yeah, it's a sports story. It's not a sports story. It's an investment thing with these private equity firms. They buy stuff up and turn around, sell them, and make money. He's keeping the Dodgers, which is a very bad, they won 2 World Series in a row. They're going to win this year going away because they just signed the American League's 2-time Cy Young Award winner. So they're going to win again. But this was just an investment, and it's going to be the same. Iger probably wants it. Kushner is just another investment, private equity firm investment to make money. Will they turn the Lakers into a winning franchise now? They lost LeBron, which actually I'm glad. I don't like LeBron, flopper LeBron, but this
flop.
It's a flop. Yeah, it's a good move for that dude because he made $2.5 billion in 18 months.
Well,
that's phenomenal. God Almighty,
they did.
Phenomenal.
And they didn't win a championship or anything. They didn't do anything in those 18 months. I mean, they were middle of the road, a little above average, and that gained you $2.5 billion.
But what he bought, sorry to interrupt, what he bought was the Laker TV contract. That thing is worth some serious money because they've got their own local TV network besides what goes national.
Well, can you imagine? I hope Bob Iger doesn't get a hold of that. We'll have live action remakes of the 1980s teams or something. It'll be awful.
Yeah, I mean it's a massive amount of money.
John, you're in the investment field. I won't ask you to talk about your daily job there, but When you see numbers like this, it's absolutely mind-boggling when it comes to these sports teams. And you're a sports guy too. Um, what does that tell you about what it's going to cost for somebody to go to a game and enjoy a game if there's a $12.5 billion price tag for these investments?
Oh yeah. By the way, just go back, Craig. You did say the Dodgers are going to be lifelong Cubs fan here. That's why they play the games. So the Cubs are doing well this year.
The Dodgers have perfected what the Yankees tried to do by buying championships. The Dodgers have got it perfected, and there will probably be a shutdown next year, Major League Baseball,
100%,
because these little teams are so tired of never even having a chance of winning the World Series. They don't have a chance now.
Well, and the other aspect of that is, you can buy the guys, they still have to play. I mean, Dodgers went out and got Tarek Skubal from the Tigers. Really made me mad, but they're 2-8 out of their last 10 games. The Cubs swept them just a week ago or 4 days ago. So I mean, it still got to play the games. It's very likely though they're going to be the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing this year.
No doubt.
I'm sure they will. I just as I got to see the Cubs win a World Series, there was people who lived on this earth 100 years that didn't get to see that.
Right.
So I've got to see it in my lifetime. But to answer your question, Kyle, I don't think. I mean, when you go to a Bengals game, it's a $16 beer, or it's a $12 Coke, or it's an $8 hot dog. When you go there and you see how awesome the stadium is, and how just everything that's in it, it's got to get paid for somewhere. And I think what it does is it really alienates people that that your everyday person being able to go to a football game is very difficult. A family with one or two kids, good luck. I mean, that would just be brutal. I mean, to be honest, to go to a football game, and I mean, my wife and I went 2 years ago to a Bengal game, and it was very expensive for us to go. Now, we had a good time, but I think when you look at how, I've said this for a long time, when you look at how money is made, and when you look at the stock market, and when you look at real estate, and when you look at, there's been a lot of different avenues for people to make money in the last 5 years. Across different spectrums. I mean, it's been the market, or if it's been, real estate, however. So when that happens, you have people who are like, you know what, I'm Bob Iger, and I want to own an NBA team. Sure. So I think, you get that ability of people that just want something, which then supply and demand, people just wanting something is going to push it higher. Bob Iger wanted it. And, Mark Walter, I mean, his job is make people money, to make himself money. And, making a 20% return in 14 or 18 months, that's pretty good. My clients would absolutely love it. But, I think it's really, the Lakers, when you look at NBA franchises, the Lakers obviously are in the top three. I mean, debatably the Knicks, I would have them there. They just won their first championship, in forever. But I think when you look at the Bulls. If you would say now, are the Bulls a top three NBA team when they had Jordan, and earlier on 100%, but are they now? Is that Oklahoma City, or have they gotten to be that big? I don't see Oklahoma City as successful as they are. If they were to go up for sale, I could not see them touching a $12 billion price tag. I just couldn't.
Y'all know how many days it took to make this deal? Did you got that in your information, Kyle?
From what I am hearing, this was done in about a week.
3 days.
Yeah.
So that literally had to be, hey, we're interested in buying the Lakers, and Mark Walter going, throw a number out to him. And he said, I don't know, add $2.5 billion to it. And they came back, and he was like, fine.
They were trying to get in.
How I would see that. In that short of a time, that had to be somebody willing to pay it, and somebody asked for a crazy number, and somebody
they were trying to get the Las Vegas NBA team. They were one of the groups for that. But then that Bob Iger heard that the Walter fella was possibly interested in selling. So he hit him up on a phone call, and 3 days later they made a $12.5 billion, and it's not done because the Board of Governors has still got to approve it. And the only thing that I would think they might not do it is because Kushner is related to Jared Kushner, who's married to Trump's daughter. I don't know if that politics will come into play, but the NBA's pretty political right now, but man, to make a $12.5 billion deal in 3 days, that's just unfathomable.
I can't make up my mind on a $30 T-shirt sometimes. I can't imagine doing this. But
I mean, if you're naming your price, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Otis, I see you. We will talk about that shortly. I'm waiting on confirmation right there. If that happens in the next few minutes, I will obviously stop what I'm doing and change what we'll talk about. Before we get to that, let's talk about something that is just genuinely something here. Little League International's tournament committee determined that a player on Tulsa National Little League, that's the team from Oklahoma, was ineligible. So the committee removed Tulsa National from the Southwest Regional Tournament, which is played in Waco, Texas, declared his previous game a forfeit, and said the decision is final and binding. That was Monday around 12:30. The championship game was scheduled for Tuesday, was canceled, and the 2 o'clock semifinal between Bourne, Texas, competing as Texas West, and Louisiana was redesignated as the regional championship. Bourne won it on ESPN and was declared Southwest Region champion. And then at 4:15 that afternoon, a district judge in Waco, Texas, named Ryan Luna, signed a temporary restraining order barring Little League from recognizing anyone as Southwest champion and ordering a Bourne Tulsa game. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that the federal court systems are involved in a Little League game?
And the guy's last name is Luna. I think it's Lunatic.
Yeah. The order was served. That was served on the Little League at about 4:50 after the championship game had already ended. About 5 minutes after, Luna's order did not require the ineligible player to play. He wrote it was preserving the competitive opportunities of Tulsa's other players. Tulsa's national statement was this: the winner of the game will be determined on the field where it should be decided. Little League filed an emergency motion calling compliance impossible.
That's ridiculous.
They'd contacted Bourne, the umpires, the volunteers, and ESPN, and 4 Bourne players had already left town. Bourne spent the day at the pool. On Tuesday, the court vacated the order completely. Bourne goes to Williamsport. First game, 3 p.m. on August 21st. The underlying lawsuit gets its first hearing September 24th, and it won't matter at that point. All of this because apparently they had a kid on the team from Tulsa who didn't even live in the district. And it got found out, and Little League stepped in. Good on Little League.
Yep, 100%.
What a mess.
The coach had to know it, because if they practice, the parent comes in, and at a minimum, they got a different county license plate. But they knew it, and all the kids suffered because of it, and that's the end of it, and it's about as all I know about
it. John, did you play Little League?
I did.
All right, so let's imagine that you're winding up your game. You win what has now been deemed as the regional championship, and you've won. You're going to Williamsport, and then some judge out of Waco
never even played ball.
Judge has probably never played ball. Has nothing to do with it. Issues a ruling that essentially says, nope, you got to come back and play against this other team. What are we doing when we're allowing these courts to get involved in all this?
I think it makes just a mockery of the judicial system, to be honest. I mean, if the kid was, I coached youth football, okay, and yes, unfortunately, you would find teams that had players that were a year older.
No way. No, not at all.
You'd catch them, and as you say, Craig, I guarantee you the coach knew, and I'm not passing judgment on everybody, but it wouldn't surprise me if the whole team knew. Because that kid, however he showed up,
all the parents knew, all the coaches knew. Yeah, the sponsors.
They can get mad, but at the end of the day, I think it would serve a good lesson to be like, well, guys, we got caught cheating, and we got to, there's a forfeit, there's a penalty to it.
Yep.
And we had to forfeit the game. Was that? No, it's not fair. You know what? But
or is it? Is it fair, John? They cheated and got caught.
The whole organization knew. Don't tell me that they've gone through this much stuff and traveled, all the way, throughout the country and played in these things, and the whole league there did not know, but that player was illegal.
Right.
I just think it puts a bad taste in those kids' mouths. Growing up, they're never going to think the court system is legitimate. They're always going to think that they got cheated because the courts made them. And at this point, what if they go there and they lose?
Right.
Should they have to play twice? You know, I mean, is it a best of three? So I just sometimes kids just need to be kids, and a lot of times it's this right here. This is adults, because I doubt any of those kids went and found an attorney and filed an injunction and all that. So that's adults, and you know, the adults that got caught, they should have owned it. And I think it's just very poor taste. And you know, and some of the parents may claim they didn't know. Okay, that's fine. Well, you know what? Don't lay down. If you lay down with dogs, you'll get fleas on you. You've got to realize that, and maybe you shouldn't have gone to that team. I don't know.
Well, the kids are suffering because of adults.
100%.
Adults wanting to win so bad.
Shame on the adults.
Yeah, they're wanting to win so badly or they want to live their life through their kid because they couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yep.
That they cheated. They want to win so badly that they cheated.
There were times. Yeah, there's been times in my life when you've had a an official that makes a call, or you're upset that there's a ruling against your team or whatever. I can't imagine running to the local courthouse to file it. We're in this hyper litigious society where we don't learn lessons anymore. We want people just to put everything on hold and literally make legal cases about it.
Well, it's that phrase. That's not fair. And I think exactly
welcome to life.
You're really, I mean, every one of our reactions, that's not fair. It's like, well, you know what? Life's not fair. Every day, life's not fair. I mean, but you know what? You can't just start blaming, and you can't start suing. You either have to get out there and make a difference in the system, make a change if you can. But if not, it just is what it is. And life's not fair.
Well, I will say North Oldham is playing in the Little League World Series. First pitch at 7 p.m. Against Ohio, Hamilton, Ohio. Winner goes to Williamsport.
Which are a blast to watch. Little League World Series is fun as heck to watch.
Let me just say this: I love watching Little League World Series and the regionals going up to it, because it seems like that's the one place that NIL, that sponsorships, that there's still amateurism to the sport.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't even have that in the Olympics anymore.
Well, we just had the girls' Little League World Series,
right?
Football, and it was fun to watch.
We have all of this, and it's the one thing that we, as middle-aged guys, we all want to watch it. And then you have these parents who clearly somebody did something wrong, and in fact, there's reporting out there. I'm not going to get into it about they apparently registered a kid, this ineligible child's little brother, to play in a special needs league to try to establish some type of residency. It's a mess, and I can't imagine that somebody had the gall to walk into a federal courthouse and to argue about this.
No,
but
me neither.
Be that as it may, go Kentucky. I hope they win, and we'll be following them as well. And let's get into that. Let's go ahead and get into that right now as we close on Kentucky. Where Kentucky's 15th roster scholarship is still out there, and the whole thing now runs through a federal appeals court in Denver. Here's exactly where the case stands, because a lot of what's being said about it is flat out wrong at this point. The case is Wisney versus the NCAA. On July 31st, Judge Charlotte Sweeney certified a class and issued a preliminary injunction giving a fifth year of eligibility to everyone who started Division I competition in 2022. In 2023. If you were watching this show 3 months ago, we told you this is exactly what would happen. We called that. It is exactly what would happen, and it did. Essentially, if they completed 4 years under the rules, they were done. On August 2nd, she clarified it does not override transfer rules, roster limits, revenue sharing, or the $2.8 billion House settlement. The NCAA appealed to the 10th Circuit and asked for the injunction to be paused. Monday night, Sweeney refused, writing that the NCAA essentially rehashes arguments it previously made and that she rejected it. So Tuesday, the NCAA went over her head and to the 10th Circuit, setting an expedited briefing schedule. And here are the dates that are important to understand. The players' response is due Friday, August 14th at 3 p.m. Mountain. The NCAA's reply is due Monday, August 17th at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Mountain Time. A ruling on the stay could land as early as next week. It will land next week, I can tell you that.
Is that when college has already started?
Well,
got to be close.
They're close. I mean, I will tell you, Kate moves tomorrow. Her classes start next week. So, I mean, it will happen. The NCAA's argument from Chief Legal Officer Scott Beerby, who is on the naughty list and should not receive any presents from Santa Claus this year, is that the Division I cabinet, including its student-athlete members, considered making the rule retroactive and decided it wasn't in the best interest of current and future athletes. Well, isn't that convenient?
But
Isn't that convenient that they
rule
made a
on their own.
decision
Yeah.
that it shouldn't affect the guys who will have obviously economic detriment for them not being able to do that? Isn't that nice of them? And because they said that it is, then it shouldn't be. Their practical argument is that roster spots are fixed, so every fifth-year player who comes back takes a spot from a freshman who may then have his own lawsuit. That's not what is going to happen. And the
Nope.
NCAA knows it. They are being totally disingenuous with this argument. There are a few select teams that would be able to take these guys anyway and even have the NIL money to do it. And there's only a few of these guys that would
It's
come
probably
back.
not 10 teams in the whole country.
No. And there's
And not all
10
the
guys.
players would get picked up anyway.
No, that's exactly it. Now, here's the thing about Kentucky's 3 targets that nobody is putting together, and once you see it, you can't really unsee it. Jackson Kohler apparently is headed to BYU. There hasn't been an announcement yet, but it sounds like that he is gone to BYU. He is
Sorry
a
for your
Mormon-
loss, Kyle.
What's that?
Sorry for your loss.
It's all right. He is of the Mormon faith. But here's the other thing you have to understand about Jackson Kohler. Jackson Kohler signed an Exhibit 10 contract with an NBA team. And that NBA team, the Utah Jazz. He's already living in Utah.
Yeah.
And the other thing about that is if this doesn't go through, he can stay with them on their training camp team, right? No big deal. Or he could just go over to Provo and play there. Keyshawn Hall, who we have talked about on this show, has signed a Exhibit 10 contract with the Miami Heat. Mark Mitchell, who we have also, there's Keyshawn Hall. And then Mark Mitchell, who we have discussed on this program, has signed one with the Denver Nuggets. If you don't know the term, an Exhibit 10 is a 1-year, non-guaranteed minimum salary deal that runs through the preseason. It gets you into Summer League and it gets you into training camp. And if you play well enough and convert into a 2-way contract, what it does not do is it does not end your college eligibility. So every single player Mark Pope is recruiting right now is a man holding an NBA training camp invitation in one hand, waiting on a federal appeals court with the other, and that reframes the deadline. Everybody's been watching the transfer portal window. The real clock is that NBA training camps open in about 6 weeks.
Yep.
These aren't kids weighing scholarship offers at this point. This is just a matter of who fits where. They're professionals deciding where a 5th year of college is better business. It appears that Keyshawn Hall is out of the mix too. Sounds like he might be going to St. John's. Then we get Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell, according to Tipton today, Joe Tipton, he says that I'm probably only watching one school, to be honest with you, Tipton said, of Mitchell's possible portal recruitment, and it is Kentucky. I think they've pretty much identified him as their top guy. If he is able to actually transfer, I think they've kind of focused in on him, which is always very interesting when a player transfers in league. Makes for an interesting matchup. Now, what this means is that, and according to many people, including Elijah Burns, and now Big Blue Dylan is reporting this as well, it appears that we are potentially in the waiting game, and it could be as early as
Still.
this evening
Yeah.
that he could be signing. Now, the thing you need to understand about Mark Mitchell is while he is covered by the class action aspect of the Colorado case, he has already shown interest in joining the other lawsuits, and in fact was named in one suit. He would actually fall under the Ohio lawsuit, I believe, if I've read everything correctly.
Was one of the Colorado 18?
He was not one of the Colorado 18.
Or it was? Okay.
He was not. He's in another lawsuit where there's already been a determination that he would have a 5th year of eligibility. What everybody's missing is that all of these cases are separate. Now, could there be consolidation and a determination? There could be. What's more likely to happen is that the NCAA is going to put all their eggs in the basket in the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. They're going to beg and plead for some unknown, godforsaken reason to prevent these kids from playing, which is going to make things even more interesting, make more money. Go figure. They just, it's my rule, my way, the highway. And so here we are with chaos. and we're not going to know anything until next week of what these courts are going to do. If the 10th Circuit allows the stay to stay in place, 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, then all of these players are going to join teams, and it sounds like the NCAA then has to decide if they're going to keep fighting this, which they probably will. John, where do you see this ending up? And what's the point of the NCAA continuing to fight this?
You know, whoever the NCAA has for their legal department, you know, it's like they just need to clean house. I mean, they really do. I mean, like, I think every one of us that is a college sports fan, when they say the words, well, we're doing this for the betterment of the student athlete.
Oh, what garbage.
It's laughable. I mean, it was laughable before when they literally, you couldn't even buy players food without that being a recruiting violation. They had to live in the dorms with everybody, which was fine. But, you know, I would venture to say a 300-pound lineman eats more, you know, than a 165-pound player. But yet they have the same food card. So, you know, the difference there, you know, is just, it's daylight and dark. And, you know, looking at the NCAA and their issues that they actually continue to make more issues for themselves.
Right.
They have opened Pandora's box. They now kind of got to accept anything that is thrown at them and trying to, you know, circle the wagons and trying to put, you know, the rabbit back in the hat is not going to work. I think, like you said, they're going to do everything they can do. They're going to try to get every bit of sway they can get to try to get something that will give them some semblance of a victory. But I think it's just an avalanche waiting to happen.
Craig, how many did Mark Mitchell drop on the Cats earlier this year in the first round of the SEC tournament?
Was it 18?
32.
32. I
It's the
couldn't
most
remember.
ever
Yeah.
by a team, and by anybody from
And
Missouri.
didn't he average like 12 points a game?
He actually averaged
He wasn't one of
18.3
Oh,
points a
one of
game.
the 18 with Hall. He had
5.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists
What's
on
his 3-point percentage?
splitting. His splits are 54% from the floor, 38.8 from three. And
That's
now,
awesome.
now here's the bad part about it. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, Craig, he only shoots 66% from the free throw line. It's going to take us down from our 80% as a team.
Yeah, we got 5 starters, potential 5 starters. They will all shoot over 80% from the free throw line. And then the next 3 guys down shoot over 75%. So in free throws win games, and we saw last year free throws beat us because we couldn't throw it in ocean. That's what happened to the TBT tournament too. The UK team couldn't hit a free throw, couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. But
as long as we play some semblance of defense, I'm okay. Just some semblance of it.
No, we will. We're just too big not to.
Well, I will also say this. I know there's a lot of people who are really upset today, and it's understandable. Louisville added Seth Trimble from North Carolina today, which is another. They have modeled what they have done after what Michigan did. They have 5 5-star guys that were from other schools.
Well, here's the question: how come other schools are landing players and we can't? How's St. John's going to get Hall? I mean, why in the world would you go to New York to play when you lose 60% of your money in taxes?
Why would you go to the University of Louisville and live in Louisville? I mean, I have a lot of friends who are from Louisville. I have 2 daughters that live in Louisville.
They went to college. They're Louisville graduates, aren't they?
Yes, they would. Well, I have. Yes. Why do you have to keep reminding me of that?
I didn't know that at all.
Oh, you didn't know that?
John's not my friend.
Oh man,
what happened here?
Wait, first, wait.
This has been going on for years. He's been taking credit for a long time.
Wait. My daughter graduated with a master's degree from the University of Louisville. She
It's still
graduated
from
with an
Louisville.
undergrad from the University of Kentucky. She is a big Blue fanatic. She worked for UK Sports Video just
She
like her
went to
dad
Louisville.
did.
She went to Louisville.
She got a master's degree
Hey,
from there. It doesn't
I got
count.
a picture of Kyle wearing a Louisville Cardinal hat.
Now listen.
Don't I?
You do. My middle daughter, Olivia, she chose there because she likes to give me gray hair. All the gray hair I have is from Olivia. So she did that intentionally. Now Kate goes to Bellarmine.
That's a good school.
That's a good school. That's
is.
different. Now, but that's just how it is. Okay. Will two of my daughters have degrees from the University of Louisville? I will remain silent.
So it'll be on the frame on their wall.
I don't know. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that thing. They have to buy that parchment on their own.
Jennifer will buy it though.
No, Jennifer will not. Kate's going to Bellarmine. The older two, I don't think Emma even cares about her masters. Anyway, let's talk about Mark Mitchell. He is the guy that we're all waiting on right now. If Mark Mitchell joins this team, he answers a bunch of things for us, and this is the big thing. He's from Kansas City. He's a 5-star recruit. 2 years at Duke. Never really wanted to have a Dookie with us, but this will answer some problems. 2 at Missouri. 2-time All-SEC. 3rd team as a junior. 2nd team as a senior. Last season, 18.3 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists.
In SEC competition. That's the
big time against SEC competitions. He started all 33 games and became just the 2nd player in Missouri history to lead his team in points, rebounds, and assists in the same season. And Kentucky fans have been have seen exactly what he can do. Like I said, he dropped 32 on the Cats in the first round of the SEC tournament, which is the most points any Missouri player has ever scored in that tournament. And he put up 32 on Arkansas the game before that. One honest note on the measurements, we have to understand this. He's listed as 6'9" and 230, but at the G League Combine, he measured really in at 6'7" 3/4 with a 7'2" wingspan. He would be our 4th player. He would be our 4th player with a 7 foot.
An over 7 foot wingspan. Yeah, that's why I say we're going to play good D, John.
Yeah,
I hope so. It'd be nice.
Well, if the argument is that he fixes a rebounding problem, it's the wingspan is the number that matters, not the listing. He did sign his Exhibit 10 with Denver on June 25th and confirmed it himself. Then played 3 summer league games in Las Vegas, and unlike Hall, Mitchell is covered by the Colorado ruling. So a stay next week would hit him directly.
Which is the 10th Circuit. That's what
which is the 10th Circuit, right? I think at this point, I'll ask you, John, your thoughts on does this solve the only hole that I see, and I see George in here says that we should have had more guards. From what I've seen, it's not the guard role that we need.
No, we can put Cam in a guard. It'd be a 6'8" guard too.
Yeah, at the 4 spot, that's what we need big time. Somebody that can back up a 25, 26-year-old Frank Kepnong, and we'll have to see what Usman Njai can do, and maybe spell Moreno at times. Does this answer some of the problems that?
I mean, obviously it answers some question. It answers some. He's a 5-star. He's a phenomenal athlete. He will make us better. Yes. I think the majority of people saying that we need more guards. I think it's just the last 2 years seeing our guards get hurt.
Yeah, we're good on
our
guards.
Get hurt. I think most of us just worried. We've wondered why do we not have another backup point guard? Because we don't need 4. So I think the Kentucky local Big Blue fan has wanted more guards because we just haven't had those last couple years. But no, I think he definitely fills in some holes for us. Again, going through a whole season, I think Kentucky's building a good roster. I think they don't have a lot of egos on there, but they have to fill. That's the one big issue I see with U of L, with all of those is, are they going to have enough minutes for all those players? And is there going to be any infighting on that team? I think they could have looked at us this year and saw how much we spent on a roster. I've heard the numbers in $33 million for their roster. I think that's probably the issue that they're going to face to that. But I think for Kentucky,
I think Louisville spent a lot. But what this will do, this will give us adding another 18 points, which was Hall would have done too. That'll get us a team potential of averages off of last season at 132 points a game.
If this team doesn't average 90 points a game,
walking out the door, they should fall out of bed and score 90 points. We should have 10 or 15 100-point games this year. And with Pope saying shoot over 33 pointers.
And Mitchell will shoot the 3.
Oh yeah, he'll launch them. And so we're going to be the worst 3-point shooters we got are our guards. But all they got to do is drive to the middle, drop it off to one of 3 players, and let them go. If it's Moreno underneath or whoever's on the wing, then we're going to be launching threes all day long. It's going to be Mitchell will help us. Another big wingspan, another 5 fouls to give up on a tough team. Because I don't care if 4 guys foul out now on the front line, because we got 3 more to come in.
Well, and it lets you develop players like Reese Potter and
Yeah.
and Braden Hawthorne.
I mean, we can heck the crap out of teams, especially if they're poor free throw shooting teams. We can heck the crap out of them and take one 7-footer out and put another one in.
John, your thoughts on the ceiling? I was reading today, one ESPN writer said, if Kentucky makes to the Elite Eight with their current roster, that's their ceiling. You add Mark Mitchell, are we a contender?
I mean, I think when you now get all these players from other teams, you get, guys that had, played at small schools and went on a run in the NCAA tournament and now got noticed and now are able to play. I think any number of those teams can be contenders when they get to the NCAA tournament. I think getting to the Elite Eight, I think at that point, absolutely. I think any team at that point can win it, because I think all of those teams at that point are going to have seasoned players that have already probably played in an Elite Eight or at least played in some championships, even if it's not at their current school, but at another school. If they may have played at Duke or they may have played at Mississippi State or played at Memphis or wherever it was, but they got them into the tournament. So, even though that team might be new going in there, they've got, you've got seasoned veterans on your team that are coming from other teams. So, yeah, I think we're just as big a contender as anybody else.
I've got if we get Mitchell, if we got any of those 3 that we were looking at last week, I've said Final Four. We're Elite Eight without them. We're Final Four with them. And I saw a poll out early this week, a way too early top 25, had Kentucky at 23rd. All the rest of them got us at 13, 14, 15. And this one coming out at 23rd. I don't even know what they're thinking, but look at that.
Well, it's late signers, not having any prospects signed at the season ends. Then think about back about May and June. Think about all the prospects that we were after and we didn't get, and we didn't get, and we didn't get. Like you asked earlier, like, why wouldn't they come here? What's the, like, why? It was almost like there was a mystique over Lexington of like, I'm not going to go there. I mean, you had players choosing schools like, you just don't choose, schools like, I think I'm going to go to Montana State.
Well, remember, Pope said they got to earn their minutes. These other schools, they're using Kentucky to negotiate against those other schools, and then they go to that other schools and they're the man. They get promised X amount of minutes, probably 30 minutes a game, to showcase their game. But if Pope sticks to his guns and doesn't promise minutes, then this will be a good team. That's why I think the family atmosphere is where it's at, because everybody knows they've got to work for it. And players that people really didn't pay attention to won the competitions, whatever competition Pope's doing over the last 2 weeks. It wasn't none of the star players.
No, but I will also say this, that if we land Mitchell, I think that the sky's the limit for this team. If he can assimilate. But remember, guys, we're literally 6 weeks from NBA training camp. We're a week and a half away from school starting. I mean, this kid has to get, there has to be a decision.
He's got to get registered.
Yeah, he's got to get registered, got to get to the school, got to get all this, done. And it's going to be a whirlwind. And we need some good news, as somebody said earlier. We need some good news based upon what the Fighting Scrooge McDucks down I-64 are doing over there. They have backed up the Brinks truck. And listen, good for them. You buy yourself a good team or whatever. But at the end of the day, if they don't win an ACC championship and they don't win an NCAA tournament, an NCAA championship, Pat Kelsey's got to be gone. I'm sorry. You're loading this up right now. And I'd say the same for Mark Pope. He's got to have a good season as well. But Pat Kelsey can't have the highest NIL roster and have all the 5 stars and then not win an ACC championship and not make it to a Final Four.
And Duke is loaded again. Duke's like number 3 in the country. Louisville's 14th, I think. It's going to be fun to watch Louisville play, because they're going to win a lot of games for sure.
Oh, no, I think they're going to win a lot of games. But again, The
But they got
locker
to get by
room,
Duke.
your locker room is going to determine that. And if you've got guys that are paid, I mean, $33 million is a lot of money, guys. And you got to figure there's only 5 of them out there at one time. And you're going to have guys that are making millions of dollars, even though another guy's making more millions than he is. He's going to think he needs to be on that floor. And it only takes two.
And we've said there's not enough balls on the court for Louisville players before they signed this guy today.
Oh, 100. They ran out of minutes like 2 players ago.
Yeah. Exactly. And somebody's going to get pissed off because they're not getting up 10 shots a game.
Well, and you got a bunch of seniors, got a bunch of guys who are coming from programs. I just don't see how you're going to get Carter Knox and, Tipton. I just don't see how you're going to get all these guys to buy in to this system. The kid
Who's
from
going to be the man?
Kansas.
That's the difference.
Who's the man? Right. Who's the man?
Who's going to be the man? One of them is going to have to be the man, and they all think they're the man.
Yeah.
And the issue is who is the man, and you're going to have that the whole year, I think. The whole year.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Good Deeds said in here, ready for some football. We are too. Friday night, Franklin County High School is playing. They are scrimmaging against Cal. Then September the 5th, we are just 3 weeks away, John and Craig, from football time in the Bluegrass. Pretty excited about that.
So I got a question for John. Since we lost our third person in the booth,
I've already asked him. And he hasn't committed.
So what about it, John? Live on air, you got now both of us asking you.
Man,
it's a lot of fun, a lot of screaming.
Oh, I'm sure it is a lot of
it's a lot of fun.
The West Side in me may just not allow it. I don't know. I think I don't know. I'd have to give it some thought, but I appreciate it.
You couldn't live more west than me. I'm a half a mile from Silverton. I'll tell you this, we're massive homers. We're massive homers, and we have a lot of fun at those games.
George has asked if we fumble on Mitchell, Pope has no backup plan. Pope has said that he feels good about his Mark Mitchell. He feels good about the team that he has. I think Mark Mitchell would be a icing on the cake for this group. And listen, just from what I've seen, just from practice and things, there's gonna be some guys that pop up out of here, including Mason Williams, who you are going to be shocked at how good they are. Who are not getting the early season, preseason type.
Wasn't it Jerome Morton that won the last week's?
Jerome Morton.
He won the last week's competition over everybody. However Pope does that. Morton won the last week, and Williams won the week before that. And then one of those two won the 3-point contest. I can't remember.
Where they're all shooting over 80%.
Right.
I don't give a crap if they don't have a hand in their face. Put a hand on their face and they're making 40%. Great. Yeah. So, Jen says that John wants to run the cameras, by the way, for the football games. So,
hey, man, I'm telling you. I'll say this, Kyle. I ain't bringing no food this year because I'm tired of it not getting eaten. So better eat dinner beforehand.
If John would. We'll offer you pizza, John. Okay, whatever we got to do. That's right.
I usually do.
It's a big incentive package, guys.
Lisa could come and hang out with Jen. She doesn't like to do anything anyway with the football, and she just likes to be in the room with us. So it'll be fun.
If I tell my wife that I'm taking on one more task in this life, she'll probably
blame me. Blame me.
Well, then here's the other option. You're running for office, and we get a ton of viewers.
Now we get thousands
of football games. Your name will be known. Think about that.
We'll let you sit on it.
I'm talking hundreds of viewers, right, Kyle?
Thousands. And
I mean, hundreds live.
Oh, hundreds live, yeah.
And then the next morning, the numbers rocket up.
Yeah.
Because the players watch the game and their parents watch the game.
Just consider it. It's totally worth it.
And we're more exciting than the other people that broadcast the game.
Oh, for sure. That other group that does that.
Yeah.
Good Deed says he'll come and eat the pizza. We'll have
it's good pizza too, brother.
It's the best in town. So, Craig, anything before we get out of here? I am starving. We gotta go eat.
One thing. Talk about who signed with Oldham with Rondo's kid.
Josh Smith, former NBA guard, swingman Josh Smith, his son has signed with North Oldham, who will be playing with Pierre Rondo. So you've got 2 former NBA players, their kids playing at North Oldham next year. They got to be one of the preseason
Gotta be.
choices to
And Rondo, I'll bet you, as a freshman, right, Kyle? He'll be
as a freshman. Yeah.
As a freshman, he'll be in play for Kentucky High School Basketball Player of the Year.
Yeah.
As a freshman.
He threw some passes last year at the Sweet 16 that were just stupid for an 8th grader. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch.
Jen says, here you go, Kyle.
Yep.
Jen says, I got to feed your husband. Hey, I don't mind bringing the food if it's eaten. I don't want to throw it away.
Yeah. Well, let's just pretend that won't happen. This portion of the program brought to you by Da Vinci's Pizza. Da Vinci's Pizza for hot and fresh pizza.
We do that once a show.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here for the night.
Rain totals 5.0. It's crossed 5.09 now.
I bet after this last one, I could just hear it.
Yeah, so 0.23 left or 3.2 left to hit the
John,
total.
thank you for joining us tonight. I know that you're busy, as we talked about. Come back anytime, or until I bug you enough to come back.
Tell us what are you running for, John?
I'm running for 5th District Magistrate here in Franklin County, which is it's kind of like you said, the southwest part of the county. It goes down Louisville Road. It goes down Cardwell Lane to Evergreen and goes out to the southwest part of the county. So I'm running for that.
Yeah, I
would appreciate everybody's vote. And you can always reach out to me at my website. It's hibbardformagistrate.com, or it's hibbardformagistrate@yahoo.com. If you ever want to send me a message or questions or anything, I'll be more than happy to talk with anybody.
But everyone else that's been watching, I thank you. We can't thank you guys enough. It means the world to us that you'll join a bunch of knuckleheads coming on here, talk about sports and politics and news and all the other stuff in between. So we appreciate that. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give us a like. Share it with someone who else needs to be above the noise. But until next time, make sure that you stay informed, stay sharp, stay above the noise. Good night, everybody. Have a great Wednesday evening. Talk to y'all tomorrow.